Let's go make a killing.
All right.
Welcome to the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
10 to the 5 to the 4, play 1, touchdown!
The sharpest football contest show in the land.
I'll take the action. My Birds, Benjamin Franklin's team, favored by 1.5 points. I'll give you 3 more.
You're now riding shotgun with 2 former contest winners in Brady, Kannon and James Salinas. And getting a former player's perspective with 9-year NFL veteran Mike Pritchard.
Let's go!
As they guide you through strategy, process, and your contest picks each and every week of the season.
I do like the idea of a parlay.
Now here's your host, Brady Kannon.
Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2026 and Week 18 in the NFL. Season 2, Week 18, Episode 20. It's for all the marbles, the final week when millions of dollars will be decided here in Las Vegas Football Contest. The show's presented by our friends at Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas SuperBook. I am Brady Kannon along with Mike Pritchard and James Salinas. Let's take a quick look at what happened in Week 17, Circa Survivor. Down to only 6 entries. That ticket that you purchased for $1,000 over the summer, now worth over $3.1 million. Guess what? In the Against the Spread contest, the consensus was below 500 once again. 2 and 3 in both the Circa Sports Million and the Westgate SuperContest. The overall season record, once again, at 41% for the consensus picks. A couple guys in the lead. Coin Hop at 69% on top of the pack in the Circa Sports Million, and Biff's Almanac with a 5-point lead in the Westgate SuperContest. We will get to all the details about Circa Survivor about 30 minutes from now. Gentlemen, Week 18, always a weird one. We've got a handful of games that absolutely mean something, some that mean absolutely nothing. On Saturday, there's a pair that mean quite a bit. And we'll start, James, with you. The Buccaneers hosting the Carolina Panthers. This will be the final second meeting of these two teams, the season series. The Buccaneers laying 2.5 in both contests.
Right, a rematch from just a couple weeks back that Carolina took down at home. Now going down, it's going to be rainy. So it's going to be soggy and sloppy, a slower track. And I think in this case here, that favors... To me, this favors Carolina. This is the team that can rush the football when they commit to running it. I think they've still tried to figure out their identity back and forth. Is it Dowdle? Is it going to be Hubbard? Hubbard's more of a third down back and a receiving back to me, but he's in there on short yardage sometimes. Really been kind of just curious why Carolina has kind of rushed the football because when Hubbard went out, Dowdle was really the main feature back, and he's a power back, and you saw a shift in the identity of the offense going forward. Then when Hubbard came back, they've been trying to figure things out, mixing and matching offensively, who's going to rush the football consistently. But to the other side with Tampa, and Pritchard made this point a few weeks back about once they started to get that collective talent back with all the receivers and their skill positions, with Bucky Irving coming back into the fold, then it was a challenge to be able to figure out how everybody gets their touches, and they still haven't figured that out. Tampa has lost 7 of the last 8 games, and so that's the issue on the offensive side, I think, Pritch, but the defensive side is the bigger issue for me. I think on the Tampa side, plenty of veterans on that side, although Jamel Dean will not be in this game. That is a huge loss for Tampa in this spot. By far, one of the best cover corners in football will not be playing against the Carolina Panthers in this matchup. But I saw last week when I watched that game against Miami, a completely uninspired effort from that Tampa Bay Bucks defense. They did not tackle well. That's usually the first sign that I look at is how well are guys tackling the football, and they did not. It was broken tackle after broken tackle repeatedly for the Miami Dolphins. There just wasn't a lot of urgency or any kind of competitive spirit that I saw from Tampa Bay on that defensive side. And you think about those last 8 games, they've lost 7 of those. They've had drives 22. They've given up scores 21 of the last 22 drives into the opponent's red zone that they have that defense, 16 of those being touchdowns. To me right now, this is just a very uninspired team on that Bucs side here, Pritch. I like Carolina. We'll take the short number plus the 2.5.
You know how I feel about this division, James. I mean, it's crazy. It's an underachieving division to start with. And everything that you just laid out was so accurate in terms of how surprising this is for Tampa. Like Tampa had total control over this situation. And then they lost that control. And then you got the upstart Carolina Panthers, which you can get behind because of the youth that they have. Now, figuring out how to utilize players has been a challenge for Canales. And I knew there was going to be a bumpy road in that regard. And you got a guy that's highly regarded in Hubbard got hurt. And here comes Rico Dowdell that you really want to play. And it's a different style, but yet you have to play, or you're compelled to play Hubbard because of the situation with him on the locker room and that team. So it's hard to figure that out for a lot of coaches. Strong-willed coaches figure it out. Coaches that win Super Bowls, they figure it out. Players just have to get on board. The other side, too, with Tampa, they're a team where everybody's coming back, and yet you got a new offensive coordinator that can't figure that out either. Baker is banged up. We know that as well. The concerning part, or surprising part, to me, is that Tampa has lost 4 out of the last 5, not playing great football, like you mentioned earlier, James. And then you have, Carolina. If they can put together a running game and a collection of plays, the pressure does shift to Tampa, knowing that they're on this losing streak. So they're limping into the playoffs. The upstart Carolina Panthers, you sign me up. I think they bring the wood. I think they bring the physicality. And I think they challenge Tampa to see Brady if Tampa even wants to play anymore. I mean, Tampa, that's an older roster. And when you look at older rosters and limping into the playoffs, that's not always a good recipe from a historic standpoint. So I do like the Panthers as well in this one.
Now, make it a clean sweep, gentlemen. I played the Panthers plus the 3. Now it's plus 2.5 in the contest. Do we want to go there? That's not the greatest number to take with an underdog. But, to your point, Mike, that you've been making, and you referenced, James, the lack of continuity with Tampa Bay, I think it's because they're so decimated by injury. These guys haven't played together for more than half the season. When have they had everybody on the field at the same time? Mike Evans has missed half the year. Chris Godwin, Tristan Wirfs, Baker Mayfield's been banged up forever. Jamel Dean, you mentioned, James, is a huge part, a missing piece in this lineup. I'm with you guys. I think Carolina wins this game. Tampa has not looked pretty in the second half of the season. And when they looked good in the first half of the season, you remember how they were winning those games? By the skin of their teeth, pulling rabbits out of their hat in the final minutes of the fourth quarter. So maybe that was a little bit misleading as well. Now, a big one on Saturday night at Levi's Stadium, the San Francisco 49ers on a short week. That defense has been, just carved up for a few weeks in a row now, but San Francisco continues to find ways to win with what has become a very powerful Kyle Shanahan-led offense. Brock Purdy throwing touchdowns like crazy these days. James, I'll go back to you on this one. San Francisco catching 1.5 at home for all the marbles in the NFC.
Not only in the NFC, but for San Francisco in particular, they win this football game. They are the 1 seed. They don't have to leave because the Super Bowl is going to be right there in their home stadium at Santa Clara as well. And I think that's a huge motivator. It's been a great coaching job by Shanahan. Shanahan's been there and done that. Now, he hasn't got over the hump as far as winning the Super Bowl, but these are situations that he's accustomed to being in and being able to make adjustments during the game. I can't say the same thing for Seattle. And I think what I saw last week, even though Seattle pulled away late in that game against Carolina, was I noticed as the game progressed, they really started to dial back the offense. And it was take the ball out of Sam Darnold's hand. We're going to be very conservative throwing the football. I think he's lost a lot of confidence when it comes to handling the ball, making plays. This is not a spot where I trust Sam Darnold to have to step up on the road with so much on the line. I love San Francisco on this spot on Saturday night.
All right, very good. James, heavily on the San Francisco 49ers. We'll get Pritchard's perspective when we come back and continue to roll through the Week 18 games here on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Want to gamble like the pros? At LasVegasAdvisor.com, you'll find the world's best how-to books, software, and strategy cards featuring blackjack, poker, video poker, and of course, sports betting, including the Stanford Wong Classic Sharp Sports Betting. Don't forget LVA's Member Rewards coupon book, offering discounts on dining and entertainment, including a buy one, get one for the awesome lobster buffet at the Palms, and more than $700 in gambling-free play, match play, and bonus offers. Up your gambling game today at LasVegasAdvisor.com.
Las Vegas isn't just a place to play, it's a great place to live. Louis Payon with Magenta Real Estate is a trusted 5-star real estate professional who's called Vegas home for over 3 decades. Whether you're looking to buy or sell, Louis will guide you every step of the way with proven strategies that deliver results. Call Louis today at 702-849-7160. That's 702-849-7160. Louis Payon is the official realtor of the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Welcome back to the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circa Sports and the Westgate Las Vegas SuperBook. Brady Kannon, James Salinas, and Mike Pritchard with you. And Pritch, we'll throw it back to you for your comments on the big one in Santa Clara on Saturday night, the Seahawks visiting the 49ers. And then we'll look to Minnesota, an AFC North division game between the Vikings and the Packers. Mr. Pritchard, take it away.
Well, that this matchup with Seattle and San Francisco, there's so much familiarity in this game, not only from a divisional standpoint, but it's a family affair too. When you think about Clay Kubiak on one side as a coordinator for the 49ers and Clint as a coordinator for Seattle. So the concept's it's the same offense, right? But they call it differently. They still want to utilize play action. They want to run the football. Everything is so familiar in this game, and it comes down to matchups. It really does come down to matchups. Now, Trent Williams has that hamstring injury situation. I think he'll be revved up and ready to go, but can he last that game? And therefore, can Seattle kind of take advantage of that off the edge? Sam Darnold, I've watched this guy all year, and he's made mistake after mistake after mistake. And James, to your point earlier, when you said that, take the ball away from him, he seemingly plays better once he makes multiple mistakes too, though, which is fascinating. And Seattle's been able to overcome that. Brock Purdy's on fire. I think as a play caller, Shanahan Kyle is lightening it up too. So Robert Saleh, Brady, you mentioned him before. The energy that he has really helped this defense. Now, that defense gave up a lot to Chicago too just a week ago. But this is an entirely different matchup. The edge is with the 49ers at home, and therefore I'm on board with the 49ers as well. Brady, this game against Green Bay and certainly Minnesota, very interesting because you got Flores, the defensive coordinator, guys. We know his situation. This is the last year of his contract. All year long, he's been actually in his career, he's been trying to move away from the controversy that he had down in Miami. And I think he's done that. On the other side, when you got the Packers, not playing for anything, I go back to what we talked about last week. At what point are teams going to start planning for the playoffs? And I think the Packers are in that realm right now to where they want to start gearing up for the playoffs, meaning let's rest some guys. Let's try to treat this as more of a preseason game, not really trying to go win it because they're solidified in their seeding right there. And the only question is, on the other side, can the Vikings manufacture and put together a great offensive effort? And I think the guys are behind JJ, to be honest with you, the other JJ in particular. So I think that's a confidence builder. And we've seen McCarthy build some confidence throughout the year too, Brady. So I think there's a chance right there. It's a big number, but with the situation with Green Bay, I'm comfortable with Minnesota in that matchup.
Yeah, apparently bettors are too. We're seeing that bet up to 8 in the live market. It's 8.5 in the Circa Sports Million, 7.5 in the Westgate SuperBook. You've got a few quote unquote meaningless games here. The Texans double-digit favorites against the Indianapolis Colts. Riley Leonard will be at quarterback there. The Patriots laying a big number against Miami at home. The Chiefs, down to their third string quarterback. Can they cover 5.5 over the Raiders, who seem to be clearly in tank mode? I don't know. We're going to skip those and go to what looks to be a very good game. We go back to the AFC North, the Detroit Lions. We know Dan Campbell. He doesn't quit. He doesn't care if he's out of it. The Chicago Bears, they can still get the 2 seed. James, I know you have an opinion on this one.
I like the Bears flat out. I think this is we've seen the growth and progression so far with Ben Johnson now being the head coach at Chicago. And what we've seen with Caleb Williams, as well as rushing the football. And that was what made them so dangerous, not only with the rushing game when he was the offensive coordinator in Detroit, was his ability to have the two-headed Mars rushing the football and take a lot of pressure off of Goff, spread guys out, and really scheme a lot of things open for Goff. Well, Caleb Williams versus talent-wise versus what Goff has, it's night and day. I mean, that kid's got an arm. He has got tremendous as being able to extend plays with his feet, but his arm talent that's there. I mean, it just gets better and better every week. You think about where these two teams were in week 2 when they met, when Detroit absolutely throttled the Bears and just buried them. I think it was 52-21 was the final score. The Bears remember that too. And because there's a 2 seed on the line, yeah, you can say, oh, the Lions are playing for pride. That might be something if they had all their players, but that secondary is decimated. They're banged up at corner. They're banged up at safety. This is not the offense that you want to have to face with a beat up defense there in Detroit. And there's a potential for, I think it's 250 yard, whatever the number is, but there's potential for Caleb Williams to be the first ever Bears quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards. I think that's probably a mark that they're going to be looking at too, but more so getting that number 2 seed, I think is important. That guarantees you have 2 games to play in the playoffs at home. What an accomplishment by the Chicago Bears, and in particular, Coach Ben Johnson, only laying 3. I was really surprised that number was so low. They're not going to be sitting guys and resting guys. They want that 2 seed, and I think Ben Johnson and this Bears team wants to exact some revenge here, Pritch, from that week 2 meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ben Johnson does not forget. I mean, he creates really. You remember that icy handshake after that game too? And so I think when you look at Dan Campbell, look at the Lions and where's the running game gone? When they have 2 of the best running backs in the National Football League. Now you can point to an offensive line, no continuity, people getting banged up and stuff like that. But, good teams figure that out though, right? That's called depth. But I think it's also the play calling. Remember, Dan Campbell took over play calling midway through the year. That's telling me that, okay, we moved on from Ben Johnson, but the guy who replaced him, I'm not confident in that. I'm going to call the plays. And I don't think it's come together the way that Campbell envisioned it to. So I think the Lions have a lot of issues. Goff has issues too. The Bears do not have issues. The only thing that you worry about is the youth of this football team. Are they ready for the playoffs and from a mental standpoint? But to your point, James, yeah, I mean, Ben Johnson, man, he's a guy that lights your hair on fire in that locker room. I've been told that. And these guys will definitely have their hair on fire for this matchup against the Lions.
Yeah, it ought to be a good one. I think both teams are going to bring it, and the sad story for the Lions this year is the injury bug. I mean, this is a pretty darn good team. They just don't have the horses, and the Bears may be able to take advantage of that. When we come back, we travel to the NFC East. Cowboys and the Giants in Week 18 will do battle when we return on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Want to enter the biggest and best football contests in Las Vegas? Look no further than footballcontest.com to get the info you need to succeed. Covering Circa Million, Circa Survivor, Grandissimo, and every super contest at the Westgate SuperBook. Reserve the most trusted proxy service in the business now at footballcontest.com. Maddie and Tony have been leaders in the industry for 20 years. They submit your picks while you focus on picking winners. Experience matters. Go with the pros at footballcontest.com and start winning now.
All right, we're going to skip over a couple of games here. The Bills and the Jets, the Bengals and the Browns, both touchdown or better favorites are the Bengals and the Bills, and not sure if these dogs can bark at all. Can't find a lot of dogs that I am in love with. James, usually you and I are heavy on the underdogs, but this week I'm not sure any of these guys have a chance. The Colts, the Jets, the Dolphins, boy, tough to find a dog that I feel is live this week, but maybe there is in the New York Giants and Jackson Dart. They will take on Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. James, I'll start with you. We'll be NFC East heavy in this segment. We'll take a look at the Eagles and the Commanders as well. But again, I start with the Cowboys and the Giants, Mr. Salinas.
Dallas, you think about where Dallas is, at least on the offensive side. Dak leads the league in passing yards, and he continues to do that, I think, in this game here against the Giants. Giants are really banged up on the outside. The secondary is really a mess. Their best corner probably is not going to play. Cordell Flotty didn't play last week, but not an impact against the Raiders. But in this game, that will be an impact. for that passing game, their pass defense for the Giants, should I say. The other piece here, too, is there's a sickness going through that locker room right now in New York. So not only is there a lot of injuries on the defensive side, the fact that you've got a number of defensive starters that have not practiced this week due to illness, probably not even around the facility, so they haven't been able to prepare. I mean, this is a team that when you're talking about having a matchup against this prolific passing game for the Dallas Cowboys, you want to try to have your best week of practice, and that is not happening right now with the Giants. So for me, Pritch, it'd be the Giants or nothing. I don't want to side, or the Cowboys or nothing. Definitely not the Giants. I cannot take the Giants in any capacity in this matchup. I think Dallas wants to fire this up. You know, the interesting note for not only for the Cowboys, but more in particular, Dak Prescott. Dallas has won the last 9 games in this matchup, and Prescott has not lost to the Giants, Pritch, since he was a rookie.
Yeah, how about that? And not only leading the league in passing, I think he wants that crown too. Not going to win MVP, we know that. But he could be the NFL passing leader. Pickens is in the top 3. CeeDee Lamb's in the top 10 in terms of receiving. And then also you have the running back, Williams, who's in the top 10 as well. So a lot of incentives on that side of the ball. And I think a lot of pride to go out there and light it up on the scoreboard, or certainly in the touchdowns category offensively. The problem with Cowboys have been dysfunction from the front office. We all know this, right? And not getting it together and not playing complementary football. But yeah, the Giants, they're a mess. I mentioned Kafka being the informant a while ago. They feel good after they beat up the Raiders, but who's not going to beat up the Raiders at this point? But no, the Giants, they're not interested in winning at all. They're cleaning house. We know that. They're talking about bringing in McCarthy, the former Cowboys head coach. So the story continues with the Giants. Yeah, the Cowboys would be the only side that I would be interested in as well.
Well, Mike, I'll go back to you for the other NFC East matchup, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders. It'll be Josh Johnson, my fellow USD Torero, at the quarterback spot for the Washington Commanders once again. Not a whole lot to play for the Philadelphia Eagles. They're already locked up in the postseason, the defending Super Bowl champions, and we've seen this line come down. I believe it was as high as 7 earlier in the week, but now it's settled in at a solid 4 in favor of Philadelphia, Mike, in both contests.
Yeah, tricky game here. I think the Eagles have a lot to prove, and therefore the effort's going to be there. I mean, offensively, everything's coming out on the table about what's going on with this offense now, right? With Jalen Hurts and the coaches and the players and all this stuff. And now that the dirty laundry has been aired out, I wonder how they're going to react. The Commanders and Josh Johnson, he reminds me of the Eddie Murphy movie when he was running as a politician, and he won because of the name you know. I mean, he's the only quarterback out there that everybody knows because he's been on damn near every team out there. So it's fascinating, but he fits what Cliff Kingsbury wants to do, and you know the effort's going to be there. I mean, I don't know how much football this guy has left, but certainly he's going to try to put his best foot forward. So defensively, I'm not worried about the Eagles. It's about offensively. I'm going to be having a keen eye on that offense because I want to know if they're still dysfunctional or if they don't, if they're still off on their own pages here. If they get collective and they get all on the same page, you can see the Eagles really put up a good effort. But there are some unknowns right there. But I do like the fact that Josh Johnson will give a great effort there for the Commanders, though.
Yeah, will Philadelphia and Nick Sirianni have their Super Bowl run back intact? Can they repeat as champions in the NFL? We will see. Next up, it's Circa Survivor talk. We're down to the final 6. We'll analyze the field when we return on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Looking for your next ultimate golf experience? Discover Valley High Golf Club, a tropical paradise on the Las Vegas Strip, featuring lush greenery, water features, Balinese tropical plants, white sand, and black volcanic rock, creating an enchanting atmosphere. Valley High creates a memorable golf experience for a typical foursome, a group celebrating a bachelor or bachelorette party, or your next corporate outing. It's award-winning golf on the Strip, Vegas style. Book your ultimate golf experience now at valleyhighgolfclub.com.
Welcome back into the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas SuperBook. Brady, Kannon, James Salinas, and Mike Pritchard with you. It is time to talk Circa Survivor. Of course, we have not been with you since the Christmas holiday, where we saw one entry go by the wayside in week 17A with the Commanders losing. And then also in week 17B, Christmas Day, we saw 3 entries eliminated with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers losing that football game to the Miami Dolphins. So here we are, the grand finale with 6 live entries remaining. Dylan W., Gary A., Juicy Coochie, Kick Your Knees Up, Parts 1, and Real Bro. And Mike, I'll start with you. Dylan W., of all the entries, looks to be in the biggest predicament to me. He's got 4 available favorites on the board this week. The Atlanta Falcons, the Carolina Panthers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do you do with that selection, Mr. Pritchard?
Oh man, I tell you what, so many reasons to love this contest. In particular, to answer your question, if I'm Dylan W., tomorrow is my payday. Because like you said, I mean, do I want to roll the dice with Pittsburgh? No. Do I want to roll the dice even with the other heavy favorite? Not when I have a situation in which I can watch a game tomorrow and know that I'm getting paid. It's like draft day all over again. I mean, think about that. If you're a prospect and you're going to get drafted and you know you're about to get paid, you're sitting there in your suit. You got your girl, you got your party people around you, you got everything, right? And if you're Dylan W., that's what you're doing tomorrow as you match up Carolina versus Tampa. Now you select Tampa, certainly from a contest standpoint, but Carolina at plus 130, I think you're putting down some pretty good money right there too, if you want to. Now, you don't, if you feel comfortable with Tampa in that situation, okay. But for me, in the world that I'm in now, you know, you're thinking about monetizing and hedging. That makes a lot of sense if you're Dylan W., as opposed to, okay, do I want to ride it out with Pittsburgh, or do I want to ride it out just with Tampa Bay? I mean, I would rather have the control of knowing that I'm getting a big payday, based on any situation, really, outside of a tie, in that game versus Tampa and Carolina. I think you got to find a way to monetize yourself, and also perhaps, you know, see what other people do as well. But a chance to really have a significant payday coming tomorrow and not sweating it out through the entire weekend. So I think, guys, and you guys have talked about this as former contest winners, how exhausted you are at this point, how mentally drained you are at this point. I mean, why not have a relaxing Saturday and certainly watch that game, a competitive game too, and know that you're going to get paid either way.
Well, and Pritch, I think what's going to be interesting is because there are 2 games now. I know there's one that has San Francisco available and nobody else has Seattle. That'd probably not be a game I'd want to have to put on there and play that game on Saturday night. But if there are folks that are taking, if you do have those handful that either go Tampa Bay and or Carolina, now you know that if you're playing one of the Sunday games, you know the fate of that. You know whether the equity has increased with your particular entry or it hasn't based on that result, right? In particular with Tampa Bay or Carolina. And now that gives you an opportunity for, if you're waiting on a Sunday, to not be able to see what your equity is and be able to monetize even more. And, you know, there's a couple guys out there. There's one entry that has New England available, and they're a large favorite, right? 10.5, I believe. Yeah. Versus Miami in the contest, at least with the contest lines that I'm looking at. There also is one entry that has the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the nice thing about having one of those opportunities, Brady, and yeah, those are big numbers, and we're not looking, if we're looking to break those games down, probably not the favorites of the sides that we want to lay big numbers in those situations. The NFL has done a really good job over the last handful of years to ensure that at least the final week of the season, there are all divisional matchups. So if teams were tanking or throwing games, there's still some rivalries and bad blood, and that will still spice some things up on the final weekend of the season. But if you're, say, Jacksonville, you have that one, or even New England, you have those big numbers, don't particularly necessarily have to bet the money line on the other side. Now, granted, it'll be a hell of a large payday, but that's a big opportunity. You take Jacksonville or you take the Titans on the other side, you could take the number, right? You give yourself such a big middle opportunity when you're talking about taking the Titans, say, plus 13 and a half, whatever that number ends up closing at. And then you have the Jags in Survivor. I mean, what a great setup. Those two guys in particular that have New England and Jacksonville here, Brady, they're going to really be able to monetize their position.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's Real Bro who has Jacksonville. Gary A has New England. And you bring up a great point. You know, they wouldn't necessarily have to hedge by just taking the other side on the money line for a few $1,000,000. They can take the other side plus the points and, like you say, possibly land in the middle and cash both. A very comfortable situation. And if you're at this point in the contest, you better be sitting in that Barca lounger and be comfortable on Saturday or Sunday because, you've got a ticket that's worth over $3.1 million. You better figure out a way to monetize that. Juicy Coochie has already come out and said they're going to take Minnesota. A similar situation there. Are the Packers going to cover the number? We don't think so. But, you could play the Minnesota Vikings in Survivor. They're an 8-point favorite. You take the 8.5, whatever it is with the Packers. Maybe you find middle ground there as well. The other factor here that's very interesting is the tie market. And you mentioned it briefly, Mike. Derek Stevens and Jeffrey Benson over at the Circa will put up an offering on the board that yes or no, that there will be a tie. Because if you happen to get a tie, albeit rare, if you do get a tie, that is a loss in Survivor. So, think if you've got this all hedged out and, I forgot to cover my bases with a tie and it ends up in a tie and you lose it all. That is detrimental. That is devastating. So you've got to cover yourself with a tie as well. I think these guys that have New England and Jacksonville, you put a little bit, a lot on the other side with the points. You also put a little bit on the tie just to make sure. Cincinnati, Mike, is another team that a couple of these entries have available. Kick Your Knees Up, Parts 1. They both have the Cincinnati Bengals. Mike, I think that's who we're going to get. We're going to get, your Tampa Bay, Carolina. Everybody in the contest that is remaining has Carolina and Atlanta. 4 entries have Tampa Bay remaining. 2 have Minnesota. 2 have Cincinnati. 1 has New England. 1 has Jacksonville. I think those are all the teams that are going to make up the selections here, Mike, in Week 18.
Yeah, totally agree. In my plan in particular, what you're talking about with a tie, if I do the oppo, then I'm not worried about the tie because the other side is going to help me there too. I got that kind of covered. And I think there's 3 other people that have both Tampa and Carolina available. And so, and James, and what you were talking about too, with like Real Bro with Jacksonville, or if you go New England, you got to get your pick in and you don't know what other people are going to do unless everybody's calling everybody. I mean, that could be a case too. But no, it's going to be fascinating. Last year, I wondered if we were going to get a single entry to win it all. We could get that this year. Like, say, people go other ways or other directions. I mean, who knows? But no, I think monetizing is definitely on the table. So many different ways to do it. And I'm sure some of these people have done it along the way too. So Derek Stevens is enjoying this contest all the way to the very end here this year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Maybe somebody goes rogue and takes a weird side and tries to be the solo survivor and collect all 18.7. When we come back, we take a look at a former Pritchard team, the Atlanta Falcons, and their rivalry with the New Orleans Saints right here on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Steiner's, a Nevada-style pub, invites you to play the best keno and video poker in Las Vegas. Promos are how we roll, so make the most of your gaming dollars with ongoing promotions, daily free play, bonuses, and more. With a chance to win Knights, Raiders, Aviators tickets, and big money with all those jackpots. It's not only great gaming at Steiner's, it's the 24 awesome rotating draft beers and the best appetizers to match. Steiner's, the Nevada-style pub, with 3 locations across the Vegas Valley. Steiner's, I love this place.
San Diego is home to Wolfpack Hospitality Restaurants, located in beautiful La Jolla. Stop by Cove House, Shore Rider, and Dough Mama Pizzeria on your next trip. Visit Cove House, a top 100 brunch in California, or Shore Rider, serving up margaritas, fish tacos, and a vibe that will make you feel like a regular in no time. For a slice of New York-style pizza with a California twist, it's Dough Mama Pizzeria, where the wings and pizza draw compliments from around the world. Go to wolfpackhospitality.com, and we will look forward to seeing you at Cove House, Shore Rider, and Dough Mama Pizzeria.
Welcome back to the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, presented by Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas SuperBook. Boy, what a week. Circa Survivor. Can you imagine the nerves? Millions and millions of dollars on the line. Of course, Circa Sports Million. You've got Coin Hop at the top there. Biff's Almanac at the top by 5 points in the Westgate SuperContest. Very also interesting to note that both of these guys leading those respective contests have the exact same record, 58, 26, and 1, 69%. That's the type of percentage you have to hit these days to win these contests. Mike, the Pritchard Bowl in New Orleans. Is this in No, it's in Atlanta. In Atlanta, the Atlanta Falcons, off of that win on Monday night over the Rams, laying 3 points to the all of a sudden red-hot Tyler Shough-led New Orleans Saints. An NFC South rivalry game here with the Falcons as 3-point favorites. Boy, who do you trust in this matchup?
You don't trust anybody, to be honest with you. By the way, Biff's Almanac is a great name for a contest entry right there. But no, this game is certainly a rivalry situation. It has been forever. I think it always will be, just between two cities too. But, Raheem Morris let out a lot of emotion after he almost blew it against the Rams there and in front of everybody. I mean, you got to love Atlanta for a lot of reasons. And people did coming into the year. I was included as a former player there, just on the inside, knowing that you had Bijan Robinson, that you had a Pitts, that you had London, you had all these players. You upgraded the defense as well. But my goodness, I mean, you just underachieve again. And you wonder why that keeps happening to this football team. But they held on. Now, the upstart or the rising team to look for in this situation would be the Saints, because of what Kellen Moore has done. And everywhere he's been as a play caller, offensive guy, he's improved that situation. Think about Philly and what they did when they won the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts. And now he's doing it with the Shough guy. And it's impressive. I mean, last week watching him on the road, that was highly, highly impressive. So I think he has some belief in that team. Now, do they have the horses, though? You look at injuries and you look at the dynamic of that team. Do they have enough against a very talented Atlanta Falcons team? But the caveat again, guys, and it just gives me pause a lot of times laying it with the Falcons, is the fact that they're just a team that underachieves. And I got to point my fingers at the coaching there. So I think Morris is coaching for his job security here, from a lot of rumors going around out there. So we'll see if they respond to that. They haven't responded all year, but it does set up a great scenario this weekend with that division in particular, depending on how the dominoes fall with those three teams. Talking about Atlanta, actually all four: Atlanta, the Saints, Carolina, and Tampa.
Trash Atlanta, can't Atlanta, ain't Atlanta. I'm just quoting Cam Jordan, defensive. They're the leader of that defense for the Saints. This is a rivalry, that, Pritch. You touched on that. These teams do not like each other, and so we talked. There's a lot of games that we've bypassed a few games. Some of these teams are treating it like a preseason, right? They're getting into the playoffs. This is their bye week in a sense, like Philadelphia already stated. We're going to rest a lot of guys, or a number of other teams. Chargers, another team in particular, going to rest a lot of guys because they're going into the playoffs. This is where the NFL needed to do something years back, where they put all these divisional games as the final week of the season to ensure that at least there is still some competitive aspects to this matchup. That's where we're at here. And you talked about all the talent. Now, talent-wise, look at the rosters between these two teams, Pritch, to your point. Absolutely. I mean, Atlanta, Bijan Robinson leads the list on either side as far as the best player and the best football player on the field. And I think he's another 220 plus yards, and he has the most yards from scrimmage. So I think maybe something to go after. But this is a defense that is going to bring it, I think, on that side of the football. And I guess for me, the intangible here, Brady, would be coaching. Pritchard, you were saying, why does Atlanta continually fall short of expectations? The coaching, as it's Raheem Morris. If they bring him back, you're going to have another year of the same thing there in Catlanta and Atlanta and all the other colorful terms that Cam Jordan referred to their rival as. I probably would lean here with the Saints taking that number. Big injury here, though. No Chris Olave dealing with a blood clot, so he's not going to play in this game. A lot of offensive playmakers for the Saints not playing in this matchup. That probably gives me the pause to say, I don't know if this one will make the card, but I don't want anything to do with the Falcons here, Brady.
Imagine that. The Falcons are kryptonite the entire season. Will they make our card in week 18? No, I can't go there again. My goodness. I mean, we bet on them. They lose. We bet against them. They win. This ought to be an interesting one for sure. All that talent on that team. Boy, they should be so good. And we see it on occasion. We saw it on Monday night. But Raheem Morris, we'll see if he is long for this NFL coaching world. Let's move to Los Angeles, James. The Rams trying to bounce back off of that loss to the Falcons on Monday night, and they'll try and take it out on their division rival, the Arizona Cardinals, who I would say are maybe the most injured team in the NFL right now. Jacoby Brissett, absolutely yeoman's work this year, done a great job, but this team just really has no healthy bodies. The Rams are 7-point favorites in the contest. I don't know if that's enough, James.
I don't either. I like the Rams here. I think you talked about it. They are going to play. McVay said it right after the game. We got to get our mind right? Not only from that loss on Monday night, but more so, I think you saw them still reeling from how they just had that fourth quarter collapse in that loss in overtime the Thursday before when they played up in Seattle and had the division locked up. They had it all squared away. Everything was in the driver's seat if they win that football game, and the massive collapse that they had. I just think from this standpoint here, the horses for one thing. This is a team that needs to get themselves going and go into the playoffs with some momentum. To your point here, Brady, and for the Arizona Cardinals, they've been competing to the best of their abilities each and every week, but they just don't have the talent. All the talent's on the sideline. So many injuries for this team. I think this is a game where the Rams do get themselves right and get some momentum going into the playoffs and then secure a better playoff seed. And that's the space here. I like the Rams. I'd lay the number.
You do have to be a little bit careful here. If the 49ers lose on Saturday, I believe that locks up a playoff spot for the Rams, and this game would be somewhat meaningless. You wonder if they change their approach. But like you talked about, James, Sean McVay has said otherwise. They need to have something good going on as they head into the postseason. We wrap up with the final segment, release our picks for Week 18 when we return on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
When the football contest crew isn't busy dominating the field and making plays that leave opponents in the dust, they're doing something just as exciting. They're playing My Vegas Slots. It's a top-ranked, free-to-play mobile app that lets you earn valuable real-world rewards from amazing partners like MGM Grand, Bellagio, and Norwegian Cruise Line. You can score hotel stays, great meals, show tickets, and more just for playing. Download My Vegas Slots today from your favorite app store. And if you're anything like Brady, James, and Mike, we know you're going to love it. That's a winning play you won't want to miss.
Well, unfortunately, Week 18 is not real significant for our team here on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. We've had a nice season, a good winning percentage, but as James Salinas likes to point out, that only gets us a participation trophy, and that's really not why we are here. But here are our selections. We try and close out. We try and stay competitive every week. We don't lay down and quit, certainly. We're going to take the Panthers plus 2.5, eating that bad number. We think they can win outright over the Buccaneers. We're going to take the 49ers plus 1.5, also a team that we feel can win outright on Saturday. We'll take the Vikings minus 7.5 in the SuperContest, minus 8.5 in the Circa Sports Million. Just don't think the Packers care about being here and will want to get out of Minnesota as soon as possible. We'll take the Cowboys in New York, laying 3.5 against the Giants. And then finally, we'll take the Los Angeles Rams at home, welcoming the Arizona Cardinals to town, laying 7 points. So the Panthers, the Niners, the Vikings, the Cowboys, and the Rams. Gentlemen, the one game we have not touched on yet will be the final game of the regular season, the Sunday night football affair in Pittsburgh for all the marbles in the AFC North. Mike, the division is on the line between the Steelers and the Ravens, and Baltimore is a road favorite laying 3.5.
Yeah, I mean, which drama do you like the least, I guess, is where your selection should go. A lot of drama with the Steelers. Go back to offseason when Aaron took his time deciding when he was going to play. I mean, how do you, I don't know, become a great guy in that locker room? I know he bought his offensive line ATVs, and at times they played like they had it together. But there's been that friction between play caller and quarterback for a while. And now, okay, we're going to put it all together against this Ravens team, a rivalry situation in which we have to win this game in order to make the playoffs. Tomlin might be gone after this year too. And TJ Watt, the injury situation with his lung. I mean, there's so many things that kind of, I hit the pause button repeatedly. And then on the other side, I've been saying this all year about the Ravens. I mean, they're an aging roster, but they just didn't have it together this year, not knowing which direction they wanted to go in offensively, certainly with Derrick Henry and everything. But, you know, Lamar Jackson coming back, I mean, I would trust that more if I had to play this game, gun to my head kind of situation. The combination of him and Derrick Henry and some veterans that say, look, when we got a chance to make the playoffs, how many more chances are we going to have in our careers, that kind of thing. I would side on that side, even though it's a bad number, 3.5 in that contest, but I just can't back the Steelers. There's just stuff there that tells me to stay away. But at the same time, when I say all that, you're still talking about Aaron Rodgers and a chance to go to the playoffs, and you're still talking about the Steelers knowing this rivalry situation can propel them into the playoffs as well. But I just couldn't get there either way.
Fellas, I can't get there either. I think we talked about Atlanta being our collective contest kryptonite for both the SuperContest and Circa. Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers I was able to squeak in and score a little bit of money in the DraftKings contest that I did. And you know what my nemesis was when I went back and looked through all of them? The damn Steelers, 0-6 when I played the Steelers. I can't play this team. They're definitely my kryptonite all season long. When I go against them, that's when they look their greatest. And I take on them, they look the worst. We saw the worst last week. And wow, the vanity of Aaron Rodgers not wanting to be that quarterback in that record book that gave up the sack lead, to the all-time sack leader there in that game against Cleveland really impacted how they approached the game, how they threw the game, as well as not having DK Metcalf last week. The first matchup against Baltimore that Pittsburgh won on the road, DK Metcalf had 7 receptions for 148 yards. Well, we know he's not in uniform because he got into it with one of the fans in Detroit a couple weeks back, so he's not going to be there. I don't know where the points are going to come from in this Pittsburgh Steelers game, but to your point, both of you guys, like, what offense are we going to see from the Baltimore Ravens? We finally saw Derrick Henry get the rock consistently last week and really beat the hell out of the Green Bay Packers. Tremendous performance. We know he's fully capable of that. Is that the offense that we're going to get in this matchup going against Pittsburgh? I have no idea what we're going to get offensively from the Ravens. They should be featured dose of Derrick Henry throughout the game. I just don't trust that the Ravens are going to do that offensively. I don't like either of these teams. It's going to be a great grudge match. It's going to be fun to watch. Grudge matches aren't always fun to bet on. I don't want any part of it. Not going to make the book.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we go into these situations all the time. Just give the ball to Henry. It was a few years ago in the AFC Championship game when the Ravens were going to throttle the Kansas City Chiefs. Didn't happen. Derrick Henry's not available in the fourth quarter against the Patriots a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I don't trust either of these teams. These two teams, the Panthers, the Buccaneers, those will be the 4 worst teams in the tournament coming up in the postseason. That's going to do it for Week 18 here on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Win some bets, cash some tickets in the new year. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Don't you just love football? God, what a fun sport.
Subscribe today on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts to receive weekly alerts as soon as the show's available. Good luck with your contest selections.
Pay that man his money.
And we'll talk to you next week.